Just as blade and neck are about to meet, a fireball comes shooting across the valley, faster than lightning and brighter than the sun. It hits the side of the beast, turning its fur into a burning inferno. The gargantuan carcass is heaved to the side, landing on the ember ground. So starts the story for the campaign currently funding on Kickstarter of My Father's Sword. This game brought to us by Nordic Skalds, the brainchild of Andreas Lundström, who you may know from Sweden Rolls, as well as Christian Lindqvist, who's done the layout, and Alessio Marino, the artist who's created some phenomenal artwork. You may remember Nordic Skalds. We've spoken to them before for the also slightly phallically titled The Horn of the Dawn for Dragonbane. It's all a coincidence, I promise. I'm really excited. We've got Andreas here. He is a wonderful, wonderful person, and I can never get enough of spending time with him. So join us if you're excited. Hit like and subscribe and all that stuff. If you're watching live, please hit the comments up. We're very keen to hear your thoughts. And with Devious Dungeons, the Voting Forest, and the Coolest Cats, my name is Phil, and welcome back to the Dark Orb. Andreas.
Yay.
Welcome. Great to see you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you. It's a lot, but it's better to have too much to do and too little to do, right?
Well, it depends on what the to-do is, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay, sure.
You know,
When you're
there are worse
freelancing,
things
that's
to be doing.
like the rule, yeah.
There are worse things to be doing than creating awesome stuff, right?
Well, you said it, not I.
Okay, there aren't worse.
No, they're great things. No, them being awesome, I mean.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know,
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly. I've seen some of the preview stuff for this incredible game. And I think, well, I mean, I'm going to say it right now. It's like, it feels like, how can there be something that's such a low price and yet so fully featured and with so much to offer? And I think that's perhaps something when we look at the campaign in a bit, you'll see if you haven't looked before. It's kind of mind-boggling. So we should probably get into what is your father's sword?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it takes a dirty mind to, you know, find the phallic references in
every game,
in everything I do. But sure, yeah, you do you, man. No, My Father's Sword is a super cliche, embracing, classical, nostalgia winking, pick up and play one shot game, even though we will be adding rules for campaign play as well now as we reach 30,000 Swedish kroner. But yeah, it's supposed to be a very light, humorous, and a very fun and easy game to get into.
Yeah, so it's like a fantasy style, right? But it's like nostalgia back to the 80s, and I would presume that means like 80s movies as well as 80s role playing. It's just
of course,
all that stuff that, I mean, you and I are pretty much the same age. All that stuff we kind of grew up with that kind of anchored who we are as well-grounded individuals.
I mean, it is a fantasy game, but the nostalgia flirting is for like adventure movies in general.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, it's well, the original campaign at least is for a relatively small, very kind of lightweight book, right? So what are we looking at? Give me an explanation of what the product really is at its core.
So what the product really is a 40-page, very text light. I think you saw an early beta there. There aren't many paragraphs per page, so you'll read through it. Like if you read it thoroughly, you'll read through it in half an hour. If you browse it, it's like 15 minutes. So it's very, very short, very, very light. What you do get is a set of rules for role-playing games, which we call Basic 8. And in this iteration of Basic 8, we've added a few things. We will probably use this rules engine for upcoming other stuff as well. But for this game, it's called Basic 8 because it's very basic, well, duh. And you use an 8-sided die, and it's a roll below or equal system. So the rules are basically explained in one spread, like one. It's like two, 3 pages. That's the rules. You learn them. You learn the rules in 5 minutes. It's super easy.
Yeah.
So you have 8 stats, basically 8 skills, where you place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like you allocate those 8 numbers to one each of the skills, and then you have an 8-sided die and roll. You're supposed to roll below. So it's very easy. And also an 8 is always a critical failure. 1 is always a critical success. So which means that 25% of all dice rolls will be like a crit, fail, or success, which works very well for this game because it's supposed to be humorous, and nothing is more fun than fumbles and crit fails. We all agree,
for
right?
everyone.
Yeah. So I mean, the rest of the pages, what are there in the rest of the pages? Well, I'm going to say like 30 pages are basically just character creation. So you will find some flavor text in the beginning, and you'll find some GM tips towards the end. Hopefully we'll reach 40,000 Swedish kroner, and there'll be tables for creating your own super classic cliche adventures. Like 25, 30 pages, probably around 30 pages is basically for character creation. Because my vision for this game is that a game master should be able to go to the game store on the way to the session. Game, read the game on the bus from the game store to the venue where you have the session. And then when the game master arrives, you're supposed to be able to run the game.
Yeah.
Like directly. And I don't think that's a stretch. I really think that and play testing has showed us that that's actually the case. So it's extremely easy, very much pick up and play. And where does the nostalgia come in? Well, for this game we've added a mechanic to the basic 8 rules engine, which is cliche points. Anytime that a character or hero, as we call them, because you play epic fantasy heroes like Conan or Mouse from Lady Hawk, or so you're super good at some stuff and you super suck at some other stuff because you allocate 1 through 8 to these 8 skills. So you're going to be really bad at 2, 3 of them. You're going to be really good at 2, 3 of them. So the character is called a hero because you're supposed to be a hero. This is not the hero's journey. The hero has made the journey already and is a fully fledged hero. Has some, heroic abilities and stuff like that. That's awesome. So anytime the hero does something that's cliche, which, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell other people what their fantasy cliches are. That's up to the player and the game master to decide, like, okay, maybe this is a cliche point. If you are sitting in the corner of an inn with your hood really drawn up, puffing smokes to further, blur the image of your face, for me, that would be a cliche point. Like the group encounters a door that's closed and locked, and they try to hack through it with swords, because swords make the most damage, so they should be able to open a door easily, right? Which is not the case in real life, but here, I mean, you get a cliche point for that, or tons of other stuff.
Awesome.
So you get a cliche point, and you can then use that cliche point to perform a heroic deed, which is something that if you'd try to do it with like a die roll, you would have minus a gazillion modification. But you spend a cliche point, which means you do manage to swing from the chandelier, make a 3-point landing, and snatch a pouch from the evil villain or whatever.
Amazing. So in which case it really encourages you to just be stupid.
yeah, for sure, and it really encourages you to do silly stuff and to just lean heavily into cliches and tropes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And then we should talk about the pricing, which is amazing, right? So,
Yeah.
you and I talked about this
Mm.
before, and you've made a very conscious decision with how you've priced this, which is probably quite deceptive to some people because it is really low.
Mm-hmm. It's what is it, like £3 or something like that
It's a
for the
little more
PDF.
than that.
3.10,
For
320.
the PDF, yeah, it's like £3.
Yeah,
And then
and
for
then like £8 or something for the
physical
book.
for £8, yeah.
Yeah.
And I presume
So
that's going to be like a booklet, like soft cover.
it's a soft cover, yeah. Not stapled, but like bound in some way. I think I'm not the expert for that. If someone wants to know exactly what the book will look like, you'll have to ask Christian, because that's not my department.
And it's got pages.
Yeah, it's got pages and it's a soft cover. Yeah,
and pretty pictures, many pretty pictures.
Very many pretty pictures. Alessia Marino is a wonderful Italian artist that I've been friends with online for a while, and I just love her art. And when we were planning to do this project, and we discussed it with Robert, of course, who's our main our main in-house illustrator, who's done basically every illustration for the Windhame books.
Yes. Yeah.
But he felt that he needs to focus on Horn of the Dawn part 2, and also another project that he's a little bit more like helming a little bit more. So we needed to bring someone in, and I was like, I think Alessia is going to work really, really well for this project.
Yeah, I totally second that. Having seen, and I'm just going to see if I can show. Let me see. I don't know how well this is going to come up, but I'll add the one of the images that we've got. I can. Just trying to get it to come down.
I could talk while you
Please,
try
please,
getting
please.
that up. Yeah. No, so we asked her to flirt a lot with old adventure movies. Some of the images are very clearly inspired by a very certain beast or person or whatever, and some are a bit more subtle. You need to really know your stuff to really recognize where it's from. And we also have a quote on each spread, which is either modified slightly or just as it is, from old adventure movies of the 80s. My favorite, I think, is because I came up with it. I managed to combine 2 quotes from 2 different movies, and they just fit so perfectly together. Let's see if you can catch them both. You killed my brother's father's cousin's former roommate. Prepare to die.
See, immediately I want to say it's Princess Bride, because it's Prepare to Die. But it's been a really long time since I've watched that, so I was second guessing myself for just a second.
No, that's the correct one. And where does the brother's father's nephew's cousin's former roommate come from then?
That's why I was thrown. I don't know. My brain immediately goes to something like Hot Shots, but I don't know.
Oh, you're not too far away. It is a very from a parody movie, but from another movie creator who also did a lot of parodies. It's a Mel Brooks movie.
Oh, I was going to say, is it like Blazing Saddles or Spaceballs?
Spaceballs. Yeah, it's from Spaceballs. Yeah.
God, I haven't seen either of those in a really long time.
Dark Helmet has they each have a ring that can create the Schwartz, and instead of saying I am your father, he said I'm your father's brother's cousin's nephew's former roommate.
Gosh, so he did.
Yeah,
I'd totally forgotten that.
So I combined those two to a new quote, and they just work so well together.
Those of you watching live, did any of you get that? Let us know. Either of those. I mean, one of those is very obvious to me, but the other half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also mentioned Princess Bride in the book, like we say something to the effect of, so how is this game supposed to be played? Well, it's not like for us to tell you how to run your games, but if you want to know our 5 cents, like think Princess Bride and not Lord of the Rings. Sure, it can be epic. It's supposed to be super epic, but not in a dark or serious way. It's supposed to be epic in a very silly way, like Discworld or Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly. I've totally failed to export this pictures into a format that our streaming software will actually support, because natively they're in a different format. So we'll show the campaign though in a little bit, and you'll be able to see some of the art, which is just incredible. Talk to me about the adventure approach that you're taking. So does the game have any adventures by default in the booklet? What are the stretch
the
goals
booklet
looking
will not have an example adventure. What we will do if we reach 40,000 Swedish is that we will add a spread with tables for a GM to create an adventure on the spot.
That'll be cool.
By just rolling a d20 4 or 5 times. And also, if we reach 40,000, we also have, I think it's around 8 guest writers writing adventure seeds, similar to the ones that we have in the Windhame books. So like 150 words, just a short adventure seed that can kick it off. Because we also say that this is not a game for beginners. Sometimes people have play tested it and said, oh, this will be the perfect beginner's game because the rules are so easy. You can learn them so fast. But the way we've angled it, the way we've done it, doesn't really, it really need, like, how would beginners know what cliches there are in fantasy RPGs or or I think it could be demanding from both a GM and a player perspective because there is so much freedom. There's so much common sense involved that you need, like, okay, we don't have a rule for this, use common sense. But the magic, for instance, we don't have any specific rules for magic or combat. It's a skill and a roll, just as with any other situation that you encounter. And people are daunted by this before they try it, and then they realize, this actually works pretty well. But for combat, for instance, it's because I created this game or this rule set of Basic 8 because I felt that some rule systems overthink some situations. When I play role-playing games, I want to focus on the narrative. I don't want a gamey game. I don't want a game within the game. I don't want resource management and that kind of stuff. I want to tell a story. So I wanted a game that could lend itself well to that. I wanted, for instance, your character is fleeing through a city and a city guard comes around the corner in front of you. Now, if your character is an epic hero, should a common city guard be able to stop you? In most cases, no, right? No. Except if it fits the story and except if something exceptional happens. So what you do is the city guard will probably have a much lower skill level in combat than you do. You both roll a d8. The one with the best difference takes it home. And this means that it's going to be much easier to get a big difference if you have 8 or 7 in combat than if you have 3, like the city guard might have, or 4. So as long as you beat the city guard, as long as you're better than the city guard, you just whack it across the face, and the city guard faints, and you're clear. It's one die roll, and the whole situation is solved. No initiative cards, no rounds, no hit points, just one roll. Do you manage to get past the city guard or not? That's it. And if the city guard beats you, well, then you're probably getting knocked on the head and is taken somewhere where you need to create a new situation. Maybe you need to do a jailbreak scene or something. And the same with magic. Like, there's no magic schools, there's no spell slots, there's no mana points. If you have a decent skill in magic, then you're probably some kind of wizard and you probably know some magic. And then what kind of magic you can do, well, that's up to you, because there are no rounds or stuff like that. So if you want to create a genie next to you that starts insulting your enemies with lewd questions or whatever, then you do that. Or if you could toss them some fireballs, and people might think that this is OP. And of course, in the hands of the wrong player, it can be OP. That's why you need to have a bit of, years in your backpack, as we say in Sweden.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you need to have some what do you call it? Experience. That's a boring way of saying it, but yeah.
I know what you mean. The discretion as well. So it's about considering what the group at the table is trying to achieve. So I mean, it might be completely appropriate for you to just be OP and everyone to be OP and to take it that way, or it might be that actually you're playing something dark and gritty, and then maybe, if you want to do a spell like that, a massively overpowered spell, then maybe that's going to be your cliche point spend. I think that's great, because like you, I and this channel really is more about storytelling than rules lawyering, and I often deride 5e for the fact that it has so many rules, but that's because it's a war game, and that's all. It's just it's based on tabletop miniatures wargaming, and it's come from there, and so those rules are actually really important, and
they are.
You need that, and you're supposed to spend 4 hours fighting one thing. If that's what you want to play, then it's perfect.
So we played some D&D 5e in our podcast, Sweden Rolls, playing through.
Check it out. Check out Sweden Rolls. It's amazing.
Check out Sweden Roll. But I found it a bit daunting to do D&D as theater of the mind, because there's so many spells that are nerfed or buffed by range. And if you just do theater of the mind, then it's like it really takes away some of the beauty of the game, because I played a lot of D&D 5e and used grid maps and stuff like that, and I absolutely love it. It's not that I don't like gritty games, but if I want to tell a narrative story, I'm probably going to choose another game for the most time. But if I really like doing dungeons and combat, then D&D is really, really good.
Exactly, and it's around having the correct system in front of you to tell the story that you want to tell. My interpretation of My Father's Sword is that it's going to be great if you, like I do, have a bunch of books that have got scenarios in them, and maybe the rule set that scenario is for is something that you're not really comfortable with, but you only need to know basically whether or not the baddies are going to be significantly stronger than your player characters or not, or maybe actually they are system agnostic, and you're just sitting there going, I don't really know what to run. A great example of this is a book called Odd Jobs, which has like 8 or 9 crazy scenarios by MacGuffin and Company, and they are just ludicrous. And there's no specific system for them, so why not pick something that's just going to allow you to tell that stupid story of murder on
sounds like a good thing. Sounds like something we should almost recommend for our players, because that would fit great. And we also write in the book that you should be able to play any fantasy RPG scenario using these rules. So that's why you don't really need specific adventures just for My Father's Sword. You can pick anyone from your bookshelf and just go with it. Or, as you said, just have a skeleton of a story, because your players has stats, but you don't really need stats for the NPCs or the baddies, because you can just make them up on the spot. Like what's reasonable, like a big red dragon. Well, it probably has above 8 in combat, right? It probably has like 10, 11 in combat. A pixie in the forest probably has 11 or 12 in secrecy, because that's what they do. They hide. So that's what's reasonable. A sphinx would have a knowledge roll or a knowledge stat of 12. So
Hmm.
when it comes to like monsters or baddies, they can have stats that go above 8.
Yeah.
Because it still needs to be a bit of a challenge for the players. So,
And that's where you need teamwork, right? So
yeah.
And I know from talking to you before that actually you are a big fan of improvisation as a GM. So
Oh yeah.
have you any recommendations on how a player might improve their improvisation or take that leap? Because I think for many sorry, I say player, I mean GM. I think for many people that's quite a daunting thing to do, to step away from having that framework. And I remember the first time I kind of started doing that, and it was challenging. You know, it's one thing when your players veer from a path that you've already written down and you just have to get them back onto it. But when you're going way into uncharted territory for the first time.
Well, I mean, just learning by doing, basically.
Yeah.
I would say if you, for some reason, can't continue your main campaign one evening, but you still want to have a session, and maybe you're missing one or two of the important players that are needed, and there's maybe like 3 players and yourself, and so just challenge yourself and just say to yourself, I'm going to have this session, and I'm not going to decide what it's about.
Yeah.
Until we're sitting there, and then just start them off in an inn or at a temple or in a palace or in the woods, and just go, well, you're here, and just let the players start talking to each other, try and find something, a hook that you can use from something they're saying, and then just spin that into one scene, because one scene will always lead to another scene.
Yeah.
So just try to get the snowball rolling, because once a snowball's rolling, like, you can't stop it. Just let it go, and it'll just grow, and it'll become bigger, and the story will become magnificent.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. Yeah, let us know in the comments how you overcame that first bit of nervousness when either when GMing for the first time or improvising as a GM for the first time. Let's see whether or not, I think it's going to be a little blurry, but let's see whether this image has imported. There we go. Beautiful. So this has come straight from the campaign page on Kickstarter, but you can see some of this graphical inspiration or character inspiration, and certainly it's quite clear where the influences are here, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? The unicorn Falcor version there. I'm not sure if that one's actually finished completely. There might be some still work to do on that. I'm not sure. But the top right one, the cliche point one, is not from a specific scene, but is there anything more cliche when you're playing like Dungeons and Dragons than a bard that tries to flirt up a dragon instead of fighting it? Like, oh, I seduced the dragon. Okay, yeah. So that, for me, that would be one of the most obvious cliche points.
Absolutely, I love it.
And we also have the nemesis down there, which is if it's a one shot, you're supposed to have a shoot off, a big like boss fight against your nemesis towards the end, and maybe even your group has a common nemesis. That's the way we did it when we played this game with Sweden Rolls recently. But if you do choose to play a longer campaign, my recommendation is you have the nemesis as like a Jack-in-the-Box character that just pops up very, very briefly and just fucks the plans up for the players, and then just disappears. So you're not supposed to face off with your nemesis if you play a campaign. You're not supposed to like fight them. It's supposed to be a gadget, Inspector Gadget thing, like, I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Good old Frank Welker. And of course, yeah, we can all recognize the dwarf in the heroic features. You now got me wanting to rewatch the Neverending Story as well. Damn you!
Yeah, the dwarf is actually a slightly less obvious hint to the movie Legend.
Yeah,
with the dwarf that's supposed to guard the unicorn, and then he gets shot by the goblin, but the goblin actually shoots his hat instead.
If you haven't seen Legend, by the way, you really must. It's one of those films that I think has kind of disappeared into obscurity for a lot of people. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And
definitely top five.
Cast.
One of the top five fantasy, like old school fantasy movies for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's up there with Conan and Willow for sure.
Conan, Willow, Red Sonja. What do you think?
I like Red Sonja. Sonja. Is it as good as Legend and Willow or and then Conan 1? I'm not sure.
No, probably not.
I do like it. I mean, I like
Highlander.
Beastmaster as well, but I don't know. Is Highlander a fantasy movie? It's too much modern for me. I can't really.
Somewhere between the two. There are historical, I guess, as opposed to fantasy bits.
Or fantastic, or in Sweden we have a term called fantastik, which is like it could be a folk story, it could be science fiction, it could be a broader term of fantasy.
Yeah. So speaking of the crossover between fantasy and fantastical and even science fiction, I think one thing that's worth pointing out for the system in My Father's Sword is, yes, it's geared towards fantasy, but it's generally also quite easy to then convert that into science fiction or other genres, because I mean magic is technology, and go back to Arthur C. Clarke. So as a GM, once you understand the system, actually transposing it should be fairly straightforward. You might need to rename it to, I don't know, My Father's Saber or
Lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you can pick up the system and do that. Let's have a look.
My father thought you should have this when you were old enough. He killed 20 children with it. You see that meme? It's so good. Obi-Wan is giving Luke the lightsaber. He thought you should have it when you're old enough. He killed 20 kids with it. It's so good.
It is. I did read, this is complete segue, that apparently originally in the second set of 3 movies of Star Wars, that originally Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were going to have their character names reversed. And then when Qui-Gon, that was then Obi-Wan, died, the younger character then takes the name in homage. I only read that like last week. It's probably complete BS, but I mean, that's kind of cool. Hence the statement, I've not heard that name in a long time. So that was allegedly the original George Lucas intention, but I mean, we all know George Lucas can't actually write anything. So, all right, let's have a look at the campaign. Let's see if I can add to the stage. Boom, there we go. So this is currently funding 208 backers. We can definitely push this up further. In crowns, what are we looking at? 34.7. So let's at least get this to 40. But I mean, it should be way higher in my opinion. First of all, I mean, this is such a simple campaign, and I think maybe part of the disillusionment, if there is any, is how can there be such a lightweight campaign in terms of the cost and what do I get for it? And I think that we covered off. You actually get quite a lot in a small number of pages. You get so much value. The basic 8 system, which we've discussed, where you have skills for physical and social interactions, knowledge, spiritual power, perception, combat, magic, and secrecy. And we've shown this spread already, which is really cool. And yeah, we're looking at fun and telling a story. And you can choose which order of those is the most important. And for me, these are both vital. But you don't get a massive set of rules. You don't get special rules for combat and magic. You don't get a serious game. I mean, it will be a serious game, like as in, this is a serious game. This is seriously cool. But it's this is meant to be really fun at the table. And
lightweight. Like, okay, like I said, for people who are improvising, like this is supposed to be a game that you could just pick up and have a try for one evening, because it doesn't cost you much money. So just like, and but it's also like we want to give backers a discount. I've seen Kickstarter campaigns that have had prices that are, that has to be very, very close to what they will be charging in stores.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sometimes
I
more.
don't get, and then, or they will be super overpriced in stores. So this is a game that's supposed to be cheap in stores, which means that we want to give a hefty discount if you're choosing to back us. So that's why it's so cheap, and it actually doesn't cost all that much to print 40-page soft cover. Actually, if you do it in bulk, like if you have a large print run, of course a lot larger than 200, then it won't cost you that much per book. So we want to keep the price low because we want it, as opposed to Windhame, which is a super 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 high quality product.
This is freaking gorgeous, my friend. I mean, we haven't actually had a chance to talk about this on the channel yet, but I mean, look at this. This is absolutely fucking stunning. And it really is. I mean, the layout, I was floored because I hadn't realized that you were going to be getting Dante Dan Lundström to lay this out as well. So, I mean, this kind of feels exactly like, I mean, there are a few other Swedish publishers, naming no names, but one rhymes with Free League, that uses very, very similar layout techniques. But I've got to say, I mean,
well, actually, the layout is basically Christian, more or less, 100%. What Dante has done is basically what Dante has done is basically some consigliere work, just like, well, maybe consider this, or maybe consider this. But the layout is definitely like,
well,
95%.
Mr. Lindquist, I apologize for not giving you credit, because I think this blows. This doesn't blow. This blows Free League and even Helmgast out of the water, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the way it looks and feels. The printing quality is stunning because you haven't cut any corners on it. If you haven't already picked this up, and if you play Dragonbane, Dark Orb, the new edition, you've got to check it out. It's absolutely stunning.
It's right now it's the only really big world to use for Dragonbane, and it's going to be the only really big world to use for Dragonbane for a while in English. And even in Swedish, it's Erebaltor is coming in Swedish, but it's going to take a while until that's out in stores. So for a long period of time, also in Swedish, it's going to be the biggest and only like really big world. And also a big city. We have a big city. We have 30 pages dedicated to one city only. And a ton of guest writers who are some of the huge names in RPG business, like Robert J. Schwalb and Heidi Gagas Garland, Eric Garland, and Erik Granström, Anders Blixt, Eleanor Di Lorenzo. So it's amazing. So if you're wondering what the pedigree is for Nordic Skalds, it's a relatively new company, but they really are not cutting any corners. And I genuinely believe that. Of course, I would have to say that because they are here, but I mean, we talked about Windheim and the Horn of the Dawn as a product earlier when it was crowdfunding, and I was excited for it then, and actually when they arrived, it blew me away. So this is no exception for and certainly this My Father's Sword is going to be a similar level, well, exactly the same level of quality in terms of attention to detail, in terms of the layout and accessibility. It's tiny and cost effective, and it's really designed to exactly. I mean, the price does not reflect the quality of the illustrations, the layout, the writing. I hope. I mean, I can vouch for the layout and the illustrations because I haven't done these, and I can say that they are definitely super high quality. I hope my writing is up to par with that, and so the price is just reflective of our printing cost. That's it basically. Not it has nothing to do with the quality of the actual product. We don't want to rip people off and charge like 250 kroner in stores for something that costs us very, very little to print. So we just want this to be super accessible. We want it to be a no-brainer for people to back it on Kickstarter. want it to be a no-brainer for people to buy it once they see it in the store.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you right now that for those of you that are coming to Orbtoberfest, our Nottingham micro convention next year in October, the Dark Orb will be providing a copy of My Father's Sword as one of the raffle prizes, because it's just so cool. So there's no question on that at all.
Nice.
And I would love to have you back at some point, Andreas, when you have some time in your beautiful brain. Maybe we can do like a one shot or something, just to show people how it runs. But
yeah, I'd love
maybe
that.
once the noise has stopped a little bit, that would be really cool. Going back though to the campaign as well. So he says trying to scroll on completely the wrong screen. We should also talk about the stretch goals. So we have at the moment the campaign play rules, obviously, which is unlocked, and we really want to drive this up. We do have time to.
And they're not super like, it's just like, okay, so how could a character improvement work?
Yeah.
Here's a page or a spread of how that will work. So it's not like we've added like 10 pages of rules. It's just maybe it would be obvious for people how to improve your character, but for those who need some suggestions, here you go. You should do this.
Yeah, absolutely. When we get to the tables and the adventure seeds, will that add to the page count, do you imagine, or?
I think the tables will be a spread. The adventure seeds will be in PDF format. Just because if we have them in the book, then we will blow our budget to pieces. It's that margin. Like if you go above 40, it just
it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's more like if we add the tables, so like 2 pages might be squeezed together a bit more, because we can't really go above 40 pages.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. In terms of rewards, we've got the digital hero, which is PDF. Then you have the hero, which is just the physical book. And you have that in English or in Swedish. And I mean, shipping is impossible to predict, but it's a 40-page booklet, so it's not going to break the bank unless, I guess, maybe if you're in the US, it might get a little bit.
Well, actually, the
weird.
UK is worse than the US now.
Well, for now.
Yeah. As we speak right now, it's shipping overall has actually, I think that's one reason why the campaign is underperforming compared to what I was hoping. I'm very happy that we're funded. I'm very happy that we will probably reach hopefully 40,000 Swedish, but I am not gonna make a secret of the fact that I had hoped for more. I had hoped for more than 200 backers when we are sitting at 4 days until the campaign ends. I had hoped for more. That's one of the reasons we put such a low price to it. But one of the reasons that we've heard is that people in the UK and the US and Australia, they need, like, if they pay £8 for the book, and then they have to pay an additional £16 for shipping, then that kind of ruins the purpose of it being such a cheap book, because then all of a sudden you're paying 25 quid for this product. And although I do think it's worth 25 quid for sure, I do understand that people are hesitant of that. But what we are hoping then is that people will back the PDF, because that's literally coffee money. It's cheaper than coffee money to get the PDF. So what we hope is that international people will buy the PDF for now, and then hopefully bugger and ask their friendly local game store, could you please order a shipment of My Father's Sword? I really want a copy.
I think you mean bug, but we'll let it go.
Okay.
Bugger is something very different.
Bug. Bugger off. Yeah. Sorry.
It's worse than that. We'll tell him later.
All right. Okay. Well, you know me. I'm all about the innuendos. Although that wasn't much of an innuendo, was it?
That was very direct.
That was very direct. Sorry.
I mean, we've said
lost
much
in
worse.
Translation and all that.
Yeah, we'll blame that. amazing.
We do have proofreaders. There's not going to be such mistakes in the books.
If only you had proof speakers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, I've said this before. Love having you on the show, and I genuinely think that this product is awesome. I think that the challenge is, as you said, because it's such a lightweight book, maybe it's hard to understand what you're getting because it's such a simple premise. But it's great. I mean, you're getting a full system for telling a story, a fantasy story, any kind of story, really. What more do we need than a great way to do that really quickly? And certainly, when we've got those tables in there as well to help, with that whole concept of, as you said, I've just picked this book up at my local friendly local gaming store because I knew they had it in stock, because of course they will. And now I'm heading over to the gaming cafe or to my friend's house to actually run this thing. Or even better, I picked up this book and I'm reading it and I'm already inspired to run this instead of use something else, which is what I was actually going to run that evening. Even better, you can play or run anything. Nothing's stopping you from just literally transposing or having an incidental game within your game. Your characters all sit around a table and decide to play a role-playing game for the evening.
Yeah, for sure, you can do that.
Why not?
My God, that's meta. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So check it out. We've only got 4 days to take advantage of this, and after that, it will still be around, but you won't get this pricing.
Nowhere near it.
Especially if you're in the wonderful Nordic and Scandinavian realms. If you're in Europe, where the shipping is going to be much more accessible, damn you people in Europe. Definitely.
Oh yeah, it's our fault. Oh yeah, it's our fault. Brexit.
Yeah, I'm blaming you. Just the Swedes. Check it out. If you're further afield, at least check out the PDF because it's really worth it. And I've seen the beta and it's gorgeous. So it's a very art heavy book. And each one of those pieces of art, I mean, you saw the kind of low res interpretation of them, but it's just stunning. It's a lot of fun to look through. I am going to have to get the physical version. There's just no question on that. But we'll get a couple of copies in so that we can rep from this side of the pond. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers this amazing book and this fantastic campaign. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? Let's talk very briefly about Sweden rolls, if you don't mind, because some people might not know what that is. We've had met through Sweden rolls.
Yeah, Sweden rolls is an actual play podcast where a bunch of actors try out Swedish role-playing games that have been published in English. So we play in English, and we have a lot of fun. And since they aren't experienced role players, they
are now.
Well, it should be. No, but we actually tried My Father's Sword recently with a guest actor who's not played with us before. She has tried out role-playing games like twice ever. And so 2 of the people around the table were very new to role-playing games, and they were like, I've never learned a game this fast. Like Ingela, who's been with us for a few years, she's tried quite a few role-playing games, but she's still, a beginner role player, I would say. And she was like, well, I just understood all the rules, like from the get-go.
That's amazing.
And if I made Ingela understand a rule set completely in half an hour, anyone can learn it.
Yeah, and England's very much about precision as well, from what I can tell. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's the impression I get, is that she needs clarity or likes to have clarity. Yeah. So that's
great.
Who
doesn't? I mean, it's clarity is a great thing to have. If you don't we don't want people to be flipping through the rules while you're having a session. It should be super clear, and if it's not, then just make a call. The GM and the player can just okay, what do you say? Do this? Okay, great.
And is that episode? And this is a loaded question. Is that
it's
episode
rather recent?
Yeah.
It's
So
one of
that's
the
on
more
the
recent
podcast,
ones.
right?
It's on the podcast, and it's rather recent, so it should be no problem finding it. Yeah.
In fact, it came out on 21st of October. I was just double checking my feed personally to make sure that I could get that. What other games? So I know you've got Forbidden Lands. You've played Baldur's Gate 5e, as you said before, which isn't obviously a Swedish game, but we'll allow it. Coriolis, which was my favorite campaign. We're a little behind on the new campaign in our house, but Coriolis, absolutely. Tales from the Loop.
Dragonbane. Long
Dragonbane.
Dragonbane campaign. We played through part 1 of Horn of the Dawn there, Traces of Darkness.
Spoilers.
So exactly. Well, normally we don't do written adventures because we don't want to spoil for listeners, but in this case, when I had written an adventure, I want to try it. So for once there will be spoilers for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
We played a lot of. We played some Helmgust stuff as well, troubleshooters and cult, and and we played Godtail from oh dear, they're gonna shoot me. It's from Christopher Vonberg and Lucas Falk. Anyway.
I'm struggling to think what it is as well.
It's a smaller indie publishers here in Sweden. They did Scrumt as well, and a really cool art heavy role-playing game called Tandoro or something like that.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Really good. They also did Blood Feud.
Yep.
Blackfisk. Yes, Blackfisk.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah, Blackfisk.
Yep. Took me a while to work out what you're talking about. We got there.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I think Christopher is actually not a part of Blackfisk anymore. He's jumping in and out of projects like me. So
shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Advertise stuff. The screen is yours. Tell us about what you would like to, you would like people to know before we close out.
Yeah, check out Sweden Rolls, the podcast. You can check out some of my official role-playing game soundtracks. I've made one for Call of Cthulhu, the Swedish setting. I've made a bunch of soundtracks for freely games like Vaesen and Forbidden Lands, and not the original first Forbidden Lands soundtrack, but the supplement ones, the one for Bitter Reach and Blood March, which is coming out soon on Spotify. And Twilight 2000, Dragonbane, probably something else as well that slips my mind right now. But please check out the Kickstarter campaign for My Father's Sword. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be fun. I've heard people say that the comedy in the writing alone is worth the price.
It's very stupid in a good way.
Yeah, not from me, but from other people. And of course, also check out Nordic Skalds on Facebook, and go to your local game store, ask for the Windheim books.
Yes.
They're out.
So they're being distributed internationally now.
We are looking at. We actually only have them in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway at the moment, and we're looking for a distributor to take them to stores in the EU and UK and US.
Great.
But we haven't anything settled yet there. Unfortunately, it's it takes a long time to establish yourself as a publisher. But as long as more and more people ask their local game stores about it, then that helps so much, because if interest for the books increases, then it's going to be much easier for us to find a distributor who wants to work with us and spread the books.
As a role player in Stockholm, the mighty Stockholm, can I find copies of this in Alpha Spel?
Alpha Spel and SF Bokhandeln both have the books and the dice. We have a beautiful dice set.
Yes, you
do. For it, which is custom made for this. It has a dragon on the one, number one for the D20, and a demon for the 20, which is for Dragonbane.
But they're over there somewhere.
Yeah, mine are
shelf.
up there on the shelf.
Yeah.
Should I get one? Should I
Sure.
get a set? Yeah. So this is what they look like in stores, with
Come on, camera, don't let us down. Yep.
a bag and a little sticker, or what do you call it?
Tag.
A tag, a small window name tag.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
You can kind of see through the bag.
Yeah, here you go. Here you have the there you have the dragon
So
for the
cool.
one. You see the
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which works well for, Dungeons and Dragons as well, because if you play Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, if you roll a dragon 1 and at 1 a dragon, that works just as well as for
Absolutely.
Dragon Bane.
But you're going to then get a red dragon and it's going to eat your face.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No, so they're really gorgeous. Lindorm Dice made them for us, and it is at a very good price. You get 2 D20s, so you get 3 D6s, and I think the price in stores are somewhere around like 14 quid, 14 British pounds, something like that.
What is that in crowns? Any idea?
I think it's like 116, 79 maybe, or something
Hardly
like that.
Anything.
I think that's what they charge for it.
Yeah. Are they a limited run?
They are limited at the moment. We will probably need to make new ones, but as it is now, I think I have 20 bags left that haven't been bought or booked from stores.
Yeah. So if you are wanting them, get them now, and then you can drive demand for more. And likewise, if you have the opportunity to pick the books up, I've shown you these already. They are stunning. And if you don't know Dragonbane, then you should probably check that out as well, because if you're looking for a game that's like a more fully featured role-playing game, that's kind of Dungeons and Dragonsy, but good, but actually fun at the table.
But good.
There's something that isn't just about combat. It still has that evocative dungeon crawling and high stakes.
It has a really good balance between being an easy to learn game, beginner friendly, but if you want to crunch it up, you can still do that. And if you want to, a bit, not Dungeons and Dragons level, but still, you can crunch it up a bit if you want to.
So what I want to know is, can I play Traces of Darkness using my father's sword?
Of course you can. It works very well.
There you go.
It would work very well, for sure. Without
Andreas,
a doubt.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been too long.
Thank you.
I love spending time with you. I'm very excited that the Dark Orb, as you may know, we're doing a little trip out to Stockholm next year, late spring, early summer. And I'm hoping that we'll come and see you doing your barding things. Which hopefully will be a thing. As Andreas is a multi-instrumentalist, an incredible real-life bard, and complete gentleman. So thank you once again. This game is awesome. Please check it out whilst you can. Just grab the PDF or grab the print. Either way, you're going to have an amazing time. Check out Sweden Rolls. Check out My Father's Sword on Facebook. Check out all of that good stuff. And
thank you.
We will see you very, very soon. Hope you enjoyed. Please let us know in the comments what you think. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff. And until next time, thank you again, Andreas. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
And I hope your dice rolls are all way better than mine, because as you know, mine always suck. Take care, everyone.